Today, I'm going to show you what it's like to drive a 997 generation Porsche Carrera S. Really simple key. And when you get in, one thing you'll notice that's very different about 911s versus normal cars is the ignition is on the left side of the steering wheel. The reason being, originally in races, they used to start on the outside of the car, and so they could jump in, put the key in as they were pushing the clutch and putting it into gear. So, harks back to old races. Start it up. Most reviews you see, you're driving a 911 down a beautiful windy road with no traffic. Well, today we're gonna take this 997 on one of the steepest, windiest roads in the entire world, and that is Lombard Street in San Francisco, to show you that you can actually drive a manual Porsche in the city. This car is the Carrera S, so it's got a 3.8 liter flat six, 355 horsepower, and 295 pound-feet of torque. It's really light, 3,300 pounds. That means 0 to 60 with the 6-speed manual transmission happens in just 4.1 seconds. So that's what's crazy about Porsche, is they are extremely fast with not that much horsepower. Now, this car has the sports exhaust, which is a must-have option. So if I activate sport mode, because it says the sport chrono package, Porsche active suspension management, and the sports exhaust, it activates the exhaust and it sounds a lot better. I'll wind it up in a little bit than it does without it. Porsches always have some of the best shifter feels of any car in the industry. For some reason, BMW and Audi cannot get it right compared to Porsche. The linkage is incredibly smooth. Feels perfect when you get it into gear. So here we are at the top of Lombard Street in San Francisco in a 911, put in first gear. Definitely a lot of weird looks. Porsches always have a very tight steering rack, which makes maneuvering in situations such as this a breeze. Not very many turns lock to lock, but you kind of have to go hand over hand in a road like this, because we were turning back and forth at a ridiculous rate. It'd be fun if it was a little less windy, go down with a little more speed. Give it a little acceleration pull here. So unfortunately for this model, Hill Start Assist was launched for the 2009 model year of the 997 generation. So that means if you're on a hill, really steep hill, obviously when you push the clutch in to start rolling, that little instance between when you put your foot off the brake, you're going to be rolling backwards, but Hill Start Assist keeps you in place so you don't roll backwards and smash your 911 into the car behind you. But this is a 2006, so we don't have it. That's all right. Nothing a handbrake can't fix. Because this car is so small, it's easy to park. The visibility is fantastic. You really, the seating position in 911s is perfect. You feel like you're right on top of the hood. It's very easy to see the road in front of you to place the car where it needs to be, and obviously that's ideal on a racetrack, but just for driving down the street, it makes it easier as well. Definitely pulls hard. The car rides relatively rough over more intense bumps. Obviously it's a sports car, and comfort over cable car tracks wasn't the first intention. But it's a car you could totally daily drive. Look at this guy's looking at me like I'm insane. Maybe I am. I've got a GoPro on my face. Do another little launch here at this stoplight. It does pull real hard. Brakes are phenomenal. So this 911, of course, has 4 seats. The rear seats aren't really good for anybody who has legs, but it becomes a good grocery getter. So if you go to the store and you've got some extra bags that can't fit in the pretty small trunk in the front, you can of course put them in the rear seats. If you have children, they'll fit, but anyone over 5 feet tall is going to be pretty cramped with both headroom and legroom. Compared to the 996 generation, the car is a lot more isolated from the road. They made some interior improvements. It looks a lot more modern. On the exterior, I love the 997 much more than the 996 with the updated headlights and taillights and just the overall design. You know, Porsche is criticized for keeping the 911 essentially exactly the same design-wise since its launch in the 60s until 2016. But it's amazing how slight tweaks in design can turn a car from absolutely gorgeous, like the 993 generation, the last air-cooled Porsches, to the 996, which I am not a fan of whatsoever. And then the 997 was great looking once again, and the 991 looks even sharper. And now we've got the 991.2 generation that's going to start introducing turbochargers, so that'll be interesting to get our hands on one of those. I love the white gauges juxtaposed against the orange needles. It looks great. You can tell that it's racing inspired by the fact that the predominant feature is the tachometer for shifting. It's not the speedo. You've got the speedo's kind of a secondary thing over here. It's like, oh yeah, oh, you might be going 100 miles an hour, but really you more care about red line. In classic Porsche fashion, you've got way too many buttons in the center console. So if you are driving around in San Francisco, which is difficult enough in an automatic car with voice command, imagine in a manual car with, you need like 10 hands with 100 fingers to activate all this. And it gets even worse if you get into a car like a Panamera or their SUVs, where it's just lined all over the area. But this is a driver's car, so honestly, just ignore that completely. And with the Porsche Sports exhaust, you don't even need radio because this thing sounds so damn good. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Driving around San Francisco is not a Porsche 911's natural habitat, but it is possible, and it's not actually all that difficult, especially if you get a 2009 and newer with hill start assist. You'll have no issues with running into the Prius behind you. I say Prius because I've seen over 100 today, and I've only been on the road for about an hour. Look at that. There's a Prius right there. And I'm sure if I keep rambling on randomly for the next few seconds, I'll see another Prius. This is embarrassing. There's not a, oh, there's a Prius. So, like always, please browse our channel and subscribe. Look forward to seeing you next video.